Turn around.
Every now and then. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Stoli Doli Scaries.
I'm your host, John Ritchie Jr.
And I'm your host, Corinne. And today we'll be talking about the 90s classic, Urban Legend.
What you don't believe can kill you.
Ooh.
I feel like I got the bass in that one.
I get my first time watcher badge. This was my first time watching it. And, I think it's one of those things that if you grew up with it, you have like a nostalgic attachment to it. And since I didn't, I was like, oh, that's okay. It's good.
And that's the end of the episode. Thanks, Corinne. We'll be seeing y'all.
It was fine. It was fine. It was fine. I liked the ending. I have a little bit of problems that I'll get into of like, but I thought it was good. Great cast. Very good cast.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi.
So we're going to do something a little bit differently. I could not decide what cocktail I wanted to do for this movie. I was between two, and they'll be very different. One option is Pop Rock's Poison. Obvious. And that will be a very sweet mixture. The other is the Stanley Hall Highball. And that'll be like a whiskey, cranberry, I don't know. So I'm going to put both options up on our Instagram. I'm going to have people vote. And by the time this episode comes out, the choice will be selected, and you can find what drink was selected on our Instagram with the recipe.
Well, that's super fun and interactive. I love that.
Thanks. It was just because indecision. But yeah, I saw an opportunity to engage our followers, the ones that are left. Thank you. Please.
Please do whatever the hell you want. And also, who's in this movie?
It's directed by Jamie Blanks, starring Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, Rebecca Gayheart, Joshua Jackson, Loretta Devine, Tara Reid in her prime, Michael Rosenbaum, and Robert Englund. Mr. Freddy Krueger himself.
Let's also not forget Danielle Harris.
Who's Danielle Harris?
Danielle Harris is the roommate.
You know what? Yes, because it was killing me. I couldn't place her. I know she's in the Halloweens, but I knew I'd seen her somewhere else. She's in the Disney Channel original movie Wish Upon a Star with Katherine Heigl.
For all of you who don't know, she's in the Disney Channel movie.
It's probably one of the best Disney Channel original movies. It's really good.
Okay.
And yeah, she plays a very
For all those Disney heads out there, guess what? We clocked it.
Yeah, I knew. No, I didn't. It was bothering me. I had to look it up. I felt like I cheated. I could not figure it out. But yeah, she, Tosh. Yeah, she plays
Tosh.
a fun role.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to be taking a sip of our drink anytime an urban legend is talked about, discussed, brought up. So follow along with us, please. All right. Starts out. It's a stormy night. As always. Young girl, college age. She's driving down the road at night. She realizes she's about to run out of gas. So she pulls over at this gas station. We get the creepiest gas station attendant in history who gives us a big jump scare when he all of a sudden knocks on her window. She tells him to fill it up, and he has a noticeable stutter, which will be important in about 2 seconds. So as he's filling up, he looks a little alarmed because he notices, like, he looks in her backseat and he looks like troubled. So he runs back inside the gas station. And he comes out and he tells her that she needs to come inside. Credit card company's on the phone. There's an issue with her credit card. So she like kind of hem-haws like, oh, wait, what? And but whatever. She finally gets out and she goes in with him. And she goes over to the phone and she picks it up and it's dial tone. And as she realizes this, she looks up and sees him like locking the door. And she, of course, she freaks out. She freaks out. You would make the obvious assumption that he's going to hurt you. So he turns around and he's trying to talk to her, but he can't get it out. And she thinks he's going to whatever. So she maces him, throws a phone through the window, climbs out, runs to her car. And this poor man, she like, turns it on. She goes to go. He jumps on her. He's like, is trying to tell her something. And she's, freak, get out of here. So she drives out of there like a bat out of hell. And as she drives away, he screams, there's somebody in your back seat. He finally got it out, little late, and he went about it in a super troubled way. He could have done so many other things to notify her.
So, okay, first off, this bitch has chaotic written all over her. Her entire vibe is chaos. The best thing she did was this Bonnie Tyler banger, Total Eclipse of the Heart, in the car. And you know what? We've all done a lot of terrible singing alone in the car.
I think she is takes the cake, though, honestly.
Yeah. The cake has been taken from Miss Michelle Mancini. She's singing terribly. She's oblivious to her gas tank. And the weather turns quickly.
Yeah.
It's a twister outside, Annie Ann. Also, can we just peep the 114 for gas?
Oh, I saw that.
The 90s.
Bro, I paid $4.59 today. It cost me like $80 to fill up this bitch.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I get it that the situation that unfolded was alarming, and I was quite impressed at how she got out of it. It was a little clunky, but as a first-time watcher, I would love to hear about like you going along with this and then him to just say there's someone in the back seat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a typical average human being, nothing special, and I thought he was the killer, or I thought I had the same assumptions that she had. Obviously, like, why'd you lock the door, bro? Why didn't you like write on a piece of paper, there's somebody in your backseat if you have a stutter? And why all of a sudden did the stutter disappear when she drove away? Buddy, I will say I appreciate he did the most. He really did. He didn't, didn't do it in the best way, but he tried his best because a lot of people could have just been like, okay, bye, good luck. But he tried, and yeah. Sad.
Some would say failed. But you know what?
One's successful. But what can you do? Yeah. So she drives away. And the funny thing is that she's like, she's trying to, like, she's freaked out, but she's like trying to, I guess, get back into her like happy headspace of like, it's okay. So as she's like, we see a shrouded like figure get up in the back seat with an axe. And wham bam, her head is just chopped right off. Bingo bongo. Bye bye, Michelle. Should have listened to Gas Station Man. Should have given him a shot. But
you should have done. Yeah, I hear you. The only thing I wanted more from in this scene was more gore. I wanted to see the head fly out the window. I wanted to see, but that's just me, obviously.
So yeah, she's dead. So we cut to Pendleton University. We get a brief glimpse of Tara Reid, who I've never seen her look so good in a movie. Even American Pie, like even like she's hot in this movie, and like I think it's her best movie, honestly. What else has she done?
Besides American Pie?
Yeah.
American Pie 2, famously. No, I'm just kidding. But really not. I mean, she's a specific kind of actor. And
Josie, oh my God, Josie and the Pussycats.
There we go.
I can't even believe I forgot about that.
Sorry, listeners, that we missed that gem of a movie.
It's honestly such a good movie.
It's honestly a five
yeah,
stars.
And that's a good one. So yes, but
wow, we really did miss that. Yeah, we apologize.
So anyway, they cut to Tara Reid. She's doing her sex radio show. A caller, very judgmental. I don't like this. Caller calls in, and this really is an important, and I'll cut it out. But
Leave it
like in
in.
general, I only mention because this is the one where I'm like, no, that wasn't really uncool of her. But a caller calls in, and she gave a blowjob, and she swallowed the semen, which but who gives a fuck? And she has a tummy ache. And Tara Reid's like, well, I'd like to, commend you on your choice of blowjob because you are not ready to have a baby. You shouldn't be procreating. Like, she's very judgmental and shitty towards this young female, who's just figuring it out. Regardless, she's giving the sex advice about whatever. She's obviously a pillar of the college community, and her radio show is important because they immediately cut to a student lounge where people are listening to her radio show. So she's known. She's important.
I will say that her radio assistant is not getting enough credit.
What's he doing?
Basically driving the show.
In what way?
In every way.
She's a talent. What do you mean?
Clicking the buttons. He's giving her like eyes on what is good advice.
I mean, I saw like this at one point. You think that deserves something? She's running the show. She's
right.
coming up with the funnies. You
All
think, right. You think the producers are very important. Producers are very important. I get it.
Keep it rolling.
It's been a show, but whatever. So
get away from the volcano before it erupts, huh?
The right.
Some would beg to differ.
I'm not condoning it, but let's not sex shame people.
Sure.
The girl didn't know.
Absolutely right.
So whatever. So anyway, they cut to the student lounge. A group of kids are listening to her show. Parker, who's dating her, and then Natalie and Brenda, who are friends with Parker. They're friends with Tara. I'm sorry, friends with. I don't even know her name, actually. I don't know if I wrote it down. What is Tara Reid's name?
Sasha.
Sasha? She was so not a Sasha. That was a mistake. But okay. So they're all friends with Sasha. This is a group of friends. They're, hanging out. They're chatting. Parker is talking to Brenda and Natalie, and he is telling them a story. And right away, he's classic jock. I can tell he's going to be a total turd. I'm not going to like this guy. He just has that like vibe about him. And he's telling them a spooky story, an urban legend. About the college. And it's giving Freddie Prinze in I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's giving any time a man tries to tell me anything in general, but certainly a spooky story. Anyway, the story goes that a professor at the university went a little cuckoo one night. He took his hunter's knife and he went to Stanley Hall and he knocked on all the like dormitory doors, and anybody that opened, he stabbed them and he murdered them before taking the knife and killing himself. And every year, Parker's fraternity, Omega blah, 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 throws a party to commemorate the massacre in true American style. And just as he's finishing the story, Paul, played by Jared Leto, strolls over. He's heard it, and he's basically like, oh, that's not true. They tell that story on every campus. That's a urban legend, and you're silly, and, whatever. A couple things about Jared Leto here. I think this is the worst Jared Leto has ever looked.
Have you seen him today?
He's very schwarmy and like weaselly in this movie. And we find out very, very quickly that he's on the student newspaper and he's made that his entire personality. Like he's always in a blazer or sport coat. He's always getting the story. I don't know. That's everything about him, I feel like, is the student newspaper. That's his whole vibe. No?
He feels like a baby face in this movie. I don't think he looks terrible. And let me just like backtrack a little bit about him now. I mean, he looks like Jesus now. He looks.
He's got long hair. He looks hollowed.
He looks great in all the Gucci things that he wears, and that's what he should be, a Gucci model. Something I read is that he never talks about this movie for whatever reason.
Is he embarrassed?
I have no clue, but I'm sure he's
Jared
done.
Leto, tell us. Tell us
Tell us.
more.
You know what, Jared? Come on the pod.
Yeah.
We'll,
Speak it
we'll,
into an existence. Let's get Jared Leto on
this is
the
what we're doing.
pod. Yeah.
Jared, we would love to have you come through. We're two nobodies from somewhere America,
Yeah.
and just have a
I'm
chill
close by.
convo
Close by.
about your
Yeah.
character in Urban Legend.
I wonder why he doesn't. I feel like this is one of his bigger. What else is he in? Like, what is
He's
his biggest part? Is the
well,
thing.
he's been in a lot.
What?
He's been in you know,
No, I
every
don't. So tell me.
I
What
didn't
have
do
you
a
been in?
deep dive on every character, but he was in that drug movie that was really deep that I can't think of the name of right now.
We crash?
You're
No.
really you're really putting me on the spot. Requiem for a Dream,
Oh, it's
big
too
movie.
serious. Yeah, there's a
And
big movie, but yeah.
I mean he was in Dallas Buyers Club, he was in
Dallas,
Fight.
but yeah, you got an Oscar for that. That's true.
Yeah, he was in
Okay.
Fight Club. I mean, he's no Joe Schmo. We're just
What was he in
forgetting.
Fight Club? The
Oh
fuck?
no, he was in Fight Club. I think he's the one that gets like knocked the fuck out. He was in American Psycho. I didn't know that.
Yes, I did. I did know he was in American Psycho.
Oh,
That
he
was
was
just
in
he was like a bit
House
part.
of
He was like one
Gucci,
of the.
which is
Yeah.
why he's wearing all this Gucci.
Mm.
Um,
Intriguing.
Blade
Okay. Well,
Runner.
justice for
He was in
Jared
a
Leto.
lot of
Never mind.
things. Girl
Yeah.
Interrupted, Panic Room. I do remember him in Panic Room. He has
That's
he's
right.
he
He
has a
had
long
cornrows. He had cornrows.
girl. When do we do that episode?
Anyway, so yeah, Jared Leto pops on in. He's got his sport coat on, whatever. And we also find out that Brenda has a big honking crush on him. Paul. I don't even think I mentioned his name. That's his name, Paul. That whole thing happens. Then the girls, Brenda and Natalie, are walking home from the student lounge talking about urban legends. And as they're walking, they pass by Stanley Hall. And Brenda's like, let's go on the steps and say Bloody Mary 5 times. That one I have heard of. That is actually legitimately an urban legend. I say, yes, I'll toast to that. That's something. So they go up on the steps and they say Bloody Mary 5 times. Nothing happens at first, and then all of a sudden they hear a man screaming from inside, and they're so freaked out, and they turn to leave. And who should be there but bleach blonde Joshua Jackson playing the role of Damien. He's a babe. I love the blonde on him. He must have done like this and Cruel Intentions like in the same week because he has that same blonde do, but he plays the role of Damien, the lovable, pervy jokester frat boy, classic.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem for me. This movie, this
Mm,
this man is giving me it's messing around with my head in a good way. Also, it's
yeah.
Damon, which it's
Is it
just
Damon?
it's
How do you Damon?
Damon, like Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Damon. Damien. What's the difference in spelling?
Damon.
That, yeah, I have that, but how is that not Damien? Think of the Omen. Omen. Let me see how that kid's name is, because okay. Yeah, Damien is Damien. Whatever. Okay, Damon. It's fucking dumb. Whatever. So he pops up behind them, and it's him who's been doing the I don't know how he's been throwing his voice to sound like it's coming from inside fucking Stanley Hall, but apparently he has. Whatever. He teases them, and they have silly banter. It doesn't really matter at all. Before Brenda and Natalie go on their merry way. But we get the feeling all that really matters is that, he's funny and he's likable, and that's his whole shtick in this movie. So they separate. Brenda and Natalie separate. She goes to her dorm room, and she walks in on her super duper goth roommate having sex in the dark to Rob Zombie, and the roommate screams for her to turn out the light. I will say this, it's probably just such a common occurrence that she doesn't have a reaction. But I will say I was very impressed by Natalie's non-reaction, just be like, oh, oops, sorry.
I
It's
mean,
intense.
who doesn't love a sex positive goth queen?
I can't think of a single person. I'm here for it. I thought it was fantastic. And I think it's fantastic that her roommate was, no shame, just like, oops, hee hee. Turns
Yeah,
out the light, she puts on her jammies, puts on her headphones, and goes to sleep right next to, her friend, not her friend, not her friend, her roommate
super
getting railed out. So,
real.
that's something. Um,
um, it's also, I mean, it is an interesting choice that she stays in the room, but you know what? Close
If I
quarters.
guess if it's just such a common, like, you can't, what are you gonna do every single time? Like, if it was like a once in a while thing, but I get the feeling it's like every other night. So the next scene, Professor Wexler, played by Robert England, who's also our favorite homie, Freddy Krueger. He is teaching a lecture about urban legends for some reason and folklore, and the whole gang that I just mentioned, they're all in this class. And the first urban legend he mentions is about the babysitter who's watching the children, and she gets a call, and some random number that asks, have you checked the children? And we find out that the call is coming from inside the house. That is not an urban legend. That is When a Stranger Calls. That is a movie. Unless it was an urban legend prior and they made it into a movie. How do we know that? Do we know that? Can you fact
I
check that?
think the only right thing to do is look it up. But
Did
I do.
you?
I mean, so many films have adapted the same sentiment.
Don't think. Whatever. I don't think. Whatever. Here's the thing. I think they throw around urban legend too much when really I think things are just rumors. So we're like things that spread from middle school to middle school, because the next thing he brings up, so he brings up the babysitter thing. He brings up the
Everything.
babysitter thing. And then the next thing he brings up, so Brenda makes like a crack or something, and so he brings her up to the stage to demonstrate the next urban legend. So he hands her some pop rocks and says, "Why don't you drink the soda?" She's like, "Oh, no, no, no! Your stomach will explode. Your intestines will explode if you have pop rocks and drink soda." And that's not an urban legend. I think that's a rumor. That's a rumor. That's like the Marilyn Manson removed a rib so he could give himself a blowjob. That spread from every elementary school to middle school, and that's not an urban legend. That's just like chitty chat. I don't think it's the same thing. I think we're throwing around urban legend a little too lightly, in my opinion, in this movie.
So, the definition of urban legend,
Of
I
course, you
think
know.
we need to discuss because
Mm-hmm.
if the thing is, it is a story that you tell somebody about, like I don't know, the Boogie Band. When
Hmm.
you're telling somebody a bedtime story, it's that it can enter into the culture in a way that is just like, oh, you tell your kids that too. I tell my, like it's
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
somewhat fabricated story, but it evolved from some truth, or maybe somebody thought it up. I don't know. But the fact that these things appear to have happened in the culture, and then you hear about it when you're younger, and then you spread another version of what you heard. Maybe
Mm.
it's the same premise, but then something different happens in
Yeah.
some aspect of it. I think there are rumors, but I think that it adds to the original. If it
Well, that's what
adds to
I'm
the
saying.
original
Like, where
story,
where do we get this distinction? Like, where does something get elevated to an urban legend? I don't know, but I think some of the
if
things
it's
that are mentioned.
legendary, like
You
it
think pop
personally.
rocks and sodi
I mean,
is
I heard that when I
legendary?
was younger.
Really?
I was scared to do it, and
Right.
also I didn't like
Was I
pop rocks.
sheltered? I don't know. I didn't hear about a single
Were
fucking
you
one of
in Maryland or?
as a yeah. But I think I heard the Marilyn Manson thing. I mean I heard other
Yeah,
things.
yeah, we all heard that, and that was an urban legend for our time.
I agree. Actually, that was, but whatever. So he brings her up. She won't drink the soda. She's like, no, no, Mikey. She mentioned some story that she heard that it happened and whatever. She won't do it. And as they're talking, bleach blonde Joshua Jackson raises his hand. Of course he does. And he's like, I'll do it. And I'm Mr. Fun Guy. Whatever. So he gets up on the stage. He does the thing and he drinks the soda. At first, nothing. And then all of a sudden, his mouth starts to foam and he's shaking and he falls down and he's like convulsing on the ground. And then everyone is freaking out. Somebody's told to call 911. All of a sudden, his eyes pop open. It was a joke. Hee hee. Hee hee hee. So everybody, has a chuckle. They go on their merry way. Brenda and Natalie are walking from class when they see like a gaggle of students reading newspapers, and they grab one and they see the headline about Michelle Mancini, whose head got, decapitated.
On.
Eek. So as they're reading the story and like, ooh, Paul, Mr. Sportcoat, pops up right behind them. He wrote the story. He's very proud of it. Again, I do mention maybe I really have a vendetta against this guy because every single note about him, he's made being in the student newspaper his whole personality. But I don't know why he is just. I think this is the issue with a lot of 90s movies is just it's not even the trope. It's that it's a trope. It's that there's like nothing else. They're very one-dimensional creatures, right? Like Tara Reid, her whole thing is sex advice columnist. That's her whole personality. And this guy, that's his whole personality. And I won't even get into Redhead. I can't stand her character so very much. But I think they're not very like multidimensional creatures. They're very, and that's fine because it's all, just pointing us towards the plot, and it's not meant to be this complicated thing, but it's just a side note. And I'll end my diatribe there. But anyway, so
have we ever had a ginger leading lady?
I was gonna say we've never done Chucky, so no. I don't think we have.
We have done The Bride of Chucky.
We have done The Bride of Chucky. That's true. But okay, so he pops up behind them. He's all proud of his little story. Yippee. And as they're chatting about it, we see the dean and the only cop on campus, it seems, Reese, who are gathering up these newspapers and like taking them from kids. And they're like very clearly, trying to hide the story. So that's his whole personality. So Paul runs over to them like, yo, what's going on here? And the dean is really defensive. Like, basically like you shouldn't have printed this. This is the safest college campus in America, or it's just rated as which is crazy to me.
This fictional campus.
This fictional campus is the safest campus with one cop. She's the only cop in the whole movie. But it's the safest. So they're rapidly taking the newspapers from everybody. They're really, really defensive. And it becomes really clear that they want to like bury hide the story because they don't want students to be alarmed, one. And they kind of want to keep up this charade that there's no danger on campus. They don't want to be labeled a dangerous place. And so this would obviously, even though I don't understand because it didn't happen on the campus, just because somebody died somewhere and they were a college student doesn't mean it has to be associated with your campus. So it's a little bit fishy to me that they're so fucking weird about it. But I was like, okay, this is some spice for no reason, but whatever. So that happens. They cut to the student lounge where the gang is watching the news coverage of Michelle's murder. The police mentioned that they're searching for the gas station attendant, Michael McDonald. They couldn't come up with a better fictitious name than Michael McDonald.
A lot of names in this movie apparently are, in references to other things.
Like what?
Let me see if I have a... Let me give you a random one. But in the opening, Michelle drives a Ford Expedition because production discovered it's the only SUV large enough to swing an axe inside.
Wow. I mean, that's also impressive. That's very authentic. I like that. Yeah.
Also, in the opening, the gas station attendant is played by Brad Dourif, the character of Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, from Chucky.
Yeah.
Talk about the redhead where it's all full circle. That's crazy. Wow.
So this means that both Freddy Krueger and Chucky are in this movie.
That's so funny. I didn't even recognize him. Once you said that, I totally do. But it's just such a short part of Chucky that he's in that I didn't even recognize him. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. So anyway, Michael McDonald, they're on the lookout. Brenda mentions the hall, which Michelle roomed in, and she asked everybody if they, if they knew her, if they knew of her. Everybody says they didn't. So Natalie moseys back to her room. She checks her phone messages, and there's one from her mom saying she heard about Michelle dying, and isn't it just awful? Which is weird because old redhead claimed that she didn't know Michelle and that she was a total stranger. So it seems if that she lied. And as her mom is talking on the answering machine, she goes to her closet and pulls out her high school yearbook, which, girl, who's bringing their high school yearbook to college with them? What a weenie. So she flips through it, and there are multiple pictures of her with the decapitated girlie. And again, it's very clear she was lying. She knows this girl. There's a story. We don't know what it is.
Lore.
Yeah. So, she's living through her little sad high school yearbook and reminiscing. And who should knock on her door but Damon? And he comes in, and he's very sweet, and he, acts like he's nice. And he's like, are you okay? Like, I could tell, are you okay? Do you want to talk? I'm actually a nice guy. I know, don't let it get out. Come with me. Let's talk somewhere. And she falls for it, hook, line, sinker, and she goes with him. I don't know why they can't talk in the room. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with the room? Tasha's gone. But regardless, she agrees. They jump in his car. And of course, as he stutters the car, it finally turns on, and what should come on but the Dawson's Creek theme song. And I went away for a night to be over.
Come. He wanted to join in.
And I went away. Let me hear. Yeah. A little, not really an Easter egg. It's extremely obvious, but that's there. That's fun. Hee hee.
But also, like, the Bonnie Tyler song in the beginning, the nod to Dawson's Creek, but also for our lives to be over. I mean,
I know on the way. Yeah, for sure. All connects. Now, I don't know why they choose to have this conversation in the woods when it's I haven't met this campus is stunning. It's beautiful. All of these buildings, like everything is stunning. They could have gone anywhere, but they decided to go into the woods in this crappy mobile.
You know what I didn't realize also is that this was shot in Toronto. And
shot in Toronto. Everything's Canada.
And I've literally been to that campus.
What's the campus?
You think I remember?
You've been
remember.
There? What do you mean?
I know the names of this shit. Hold on.
You don't know me, but I'm gonna look it up.
You'll probably be.
Wait, Pendleton University.
No, it was at the University of Toronto.
Okay, that's cool. It's beautiful. So they decided to have this conversation out in the middle of the woods of all the places, but okay, whatever. So she briefly admits to him that she knew Michelle, but she won't go into it at all. She doesn't want to talk about it. So he says, you know what? I totally get that. I also have a story. My girlfriend died from a syndrome, and and I was really upset about it. But then I realized that it would have been selfish to hold all this love that I have in, and I have so much love to give. And he's lying. Syndrome. He couldn't even come up with anything. But whatever. He's trying to get into her pants. Whatever. So she says, she punches him in the face. She sees right through him, and she's like, nah. And she punches him. He's like, him haws, and he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. And he's like, all right, fine. I'm gonna get out. He goes pee in the woods, and then they're gonna head out. So as he's peeing, somebody comes up behind him in a coat and strangles him. And we can't see. This bothers the fuck out of me. But for somehow, this person's face remains completely unseen.
They must have a like a ski mask.
Even a ski mask, like, it would pop out of the coat. Like, I don't know how it remains so far, like, it's so deep within the coat. Like, it bothers me so deeply. Whatever. So they come up in their coat and they 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 strangle him as he's taking his pee pee, and we kind of see him like flail, and then we cut back to Natalie in the car, and she's getting impatient, so she gets out to be like, hey, bleach one Joshua Jackson, shake a leg, let's go. And she hears like a stick or some rustle in the woods. She turns around and there's the figure walking towards her. She freaks out. She jumps back in the car. She locks all the doors. And she's desperately trying to start it. And as she's doing that, this figure has a rope. They tie it to the hitch of the car. And then they get on top of the car. And we see like the on top of the car. And then we see Damon with a rope tied around his neck. And it looks like it's like he's over a branch, over a tree. All of a sudden, the killer hops down onto the hood of Joshua Jackson's car, but the car that she's trying to start. And she finally is able to get it, and it takes off. So she goes as far as she can go, and then we see this like rope around the tree, and we realize that everything is connected. And when she goes, it's choking Joshua Jackson.
Yeah.
So her car all of a sudden stops because there's only so far it can go. The killer flies off the car. She can't go any further. She sees the killer get up. In the meantime, all of this, she's like hitting the gas. So Joshua Jackson's dead. He's dead. He's choked. It's done. That was so smooth. So she gets up. She's coming towards the car. So Natalie puts it in reverse. And as she does that, obviously the slack on the rope comes undone. And Joshua Jackson plops dead on her car. We'll say this. It seems... I don't think he'd have enough time to choke. You know what I mean? Like, I think it takes like 2 or 3 minutes. And that was like 30 seconds. So,
There are a lot of things that are logistically, how is this possible? That this person wrapped a noose around somebody's neck, threw it over a branch.
This is my biggest problem with the movie. When I found out who, I won't reveal it, but you know who it is, and I had a very big issue with that. It's like, that's a plot hole.
So that means that this is me. I am the killer, right?
Yeah.
I go, somebody's taking a piss, I go, whoop. I've tied it around their throat. Then I throw up over the tree, I catch it, branch, then I go around the tree trunk, and I'm pulling him up as I go because it has to be higher than the car hood, and it has to be directly over the car hood, and he's not making a sound. He had to have been knocked out.
Well, and that I don't feel like he struggled very hard. Like, there's so many elements that don't make a lot of sense to me in the scene.
It is entertaining.
Well, it always is. So anyway, so the corpse plops onto her windshield. She freaks out. He's dead. She jumps out of the car. She runs to the sheriff's station. She finds the only cop, Reese. She gets her. They drive to the scene, and the car's gone. No trace. Just
nothing but a beer can or whatever.
Yeah. Ooh. And then she feels crazy. She's like, I don't understand. Like, it was all just here. Like, how could that, blah, and Reese doesn't believe a word of her tale. Natalie looks like a crazy. So back at the student lounge, everyone is telling Natalie that Damon was probably playing a practical joke on her. He's like, the biggest practical joker on campus. That's surely what it was. Yada, yada, yada. It was probably a dummy. They're very dismissive of her, and she's really freaked out. So she told them the whole story, and Parker realizes that a part of the story is her talking about the tippy tap on top of the roof of the car. And that reminds him of the apparent urban legend of a girl and a boy making out. And definitely have a sip, but really, because I've never heard of that, but whatever.
This is one I don't necessarily know about or identify with.
Because it's not one. So It only further proves to them that it's Damon, playing a joke on her because they just had that class about the urban legends, and this is a famous, apparently, urban legend, and so it only makes them believe even more that he's not dead, and this is just a joke, and yada yada yada. But Natalie doesn't take it that way, because when he brings that up, she also remembers that the way that Michelle died is an urban legend as well. The person in the back seat with the axe. She makes this connection, and she thinks there's a serial killer who is killing people based on urban legends, which is a bit of a reach since there's only been 2 deaths. But doesn't matter. Nobody believes her. Parker, he makes a whole show of it. Tells her to call Damon, that he certainly went on this ski trip, and that she'll talk to him and it's fine and it's all hunky-dory. So she does try to call him, and she talks to the front desk of the ski resort, and they confirm that they saw a blonde kid, but they can't confirm that it was him. So we're not, it's not 100% no, not 100% yes. It is what it is. So she goes to the library to do some research. She really believes all of this. So she gets there. She grabs a book entitled Encyclopedia of Urban Legends. She sees the legend about the car. And she also sees that the last person to check out this book was none other than Mr. Bleach Blonde Joshua Jackson. So this all is kind of leading to perhaps it was him playing a joke. So we cut to her roommate Tosh, who is on their computer, and she it's kind of bothered me. I was like, what is she on right now? What kind of messaging? She's smoking a cigarette. What kind of messaging site is she on? Because it's not AIM. It looks like it's just Word, because she's typing out into the stratosphere and somebody is talking back to her, but there's no usernames or anything. Like, they gave this zero thought. No, I think it's just like, I was confused. I was like, is she talking to herself? There's no different whatever. It's fucking stupid.
She's on some chat room thing before Facebook.
Even chat rooms
and
have
people are
usernames.
on the campus. Mama.
Whatever.
Honestly,
So,
what the real horror here is the dial-up internet. If you remember that.
Oh, I do remember that. I wish we still had that. I wish we had a computer room. I wish I didn't have access all the time. I would go back to that in a heartbeat.
You know what? Give her the lithium. Mm-hmm. Give her Bush playing in the background.
Yeah.
I think, potentially. And apparently smoking inside was a way to combat all of the added
Honestly,
pressures.
I think we're going to have to bring it back. I think very soon that's going to be a new thing.
By the way, I heard that Danielle Harris quit smoking because she had to do this scene so many times where she was smoking actual cigarettes.
Well, I love her for committing, I don't like a faker. Anyway, so yeah, she's putting out to the stratosphere that she's looking for a hunky goth who's, down to play. So somebody messages her back. Somebody's interested. They're playing with her, and she's feeling it. She tells him to tell her his room number, and she's going to go get ready. So she goes and throws on her black lipstick, comes back, and the person has responded, yours. And then and then somebody comes up behind her, grabs her, same Joshua Jackson shit, grabs her by the mouth so she can't scream, is choking her. It's all sad. And in the meantime, Natalie comes in, but she hears the grunting and the moaning, and she thinks she's having sex. So she doesn't turn on the light, puts on her jammies, throws on her headphones. Very respectful roommate, honestly. Not in this case. That sucks. But in general, that's kind. Anyway, so Tosh dies. She's murdered right next to a sleeping redhead. So it's unfortunate. Natalie wakes up the next day. She turns over and she sees a pool of blood. So she goes over gingerly. So I did that. See what I did there? Gingerly, because she's ginger. And she pulls back the cover, and there's dead Tosh. And Natalie turns around and she sees on the wall is written, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Which is apparently an urban legend. So have a sippy dippy. Don't know that one.
Yeah, So it seemed like Tosh was strangled, and then like her wrists were slit, and I think that
Mm,
was
okay, that
in
makes sense. Yeah.
preparation for describing that maybe she committed suicide. But with the message on the wall, which was Natalie
Oh.
was trying to describe to everybody, like you
Yeah.
wouldn't commit suicide and then
And
write
then do that. Yeah. How did she write that in
or
blood?
write
Yeah.
that before, and just like it doesn't make any sense. And
Exactly.
also, the killer, when did they have time to write this anyway? With her blood.
Yeah. So, she freaks out. Ooh. So, next thing, Natalie is talking to the dean and Sheriff Reese about what happened. And they're asking her really specific questions in order to lead to a destination that they want to hear. So they're like, "Did you actually see anybody?" She's like, "Well, I sent somebody." They're like, "But did you actually see somebody?" She's like, "Well, no." And they're like, "Well, did you know she was manic depressive? Did you know?" And she was like, "Well, she painted half the room black, so I was pretty sure." But there were clues, there were some flags, but whatever. So the sheriff mentions that there was no sign of forced entry, which again, it's not a house, it's a campus dorm, that those doors are always unlocked, that there wouldn't be forced entry. That's a kooky thing to say, but they're desperate for there to not be another murder attached to this campus. So they tell her no signs that actually somebody was there, so we're going to rule it as a suicide. So Nat is freaked. She goes for a walk, just thinking things over when who should pop up at Mr. Newspaper. Sensitivity of a rat. Her roommate just died, and he's like about to basically interview her, and she's like, I'm not down right now. I can't. I'm not cool with questions right now. It just happened. No. And he says, well, I don't want to ask you about Tosh. I want to ask you about this. And he has a photocopy of the yearbook, which has a picture of her and Michelle Mancini, the girl that was decapitated. And, cat's out of the bag. Her secret's out. So she tells him she doesn't want to talk about it. She's upset. She's just really wigged out because she really believes that there's a on this campus. She really believes that. Nobody's really believing her. She's freaked out. Paul recognizes this, and he's a human being for a second, and he says, "You know what? We can talk. You can talk to me. We can do it off the record. Like, tell me what's going on." So he or she tells him what she thinks is happening, that there's a serial killer on campus, that they're killing people based off these urban legends, yada yada yada. He's a bit skeptical, but he's not like, "You're crazy." He's listening, but he's asking questions, and he says, "If this is happening, why do you think right now?" And as he's saying this, she sees the flyer behind him about the Omega Bitty Buddy
A
Baba
party.
party for the 25th anniversary of the massacre. And she says, "Oh my God, it's the 25th anniversary of that. Like, that's got to be what it is." And he's very quick to be like, "No, that didn't actually happen. So that's not a real story. That's just an urban legend. So no." But she says, "Are you sure?" He's not positive. So they decide to do a little research, a little investigation to figure out the legitimacy of whether or not this was an actual thing that happened. So they're looking through books. They're trying to figure things. They're looking for yearbooks, I guess. So the yearbook they're looking for is missing. They're kind of at a dead end when they see the janitor, who I guess has worked there for a long time. So they question him. They ask if he knows anything about it. And he kind of hem haws. He eventually advises them to talk to Professor Wexler.
They basically, after all this, end up in the dean's office because they checked out Wexler's, what is it, his office.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into a corridor. They're looking for things. They find the axe. They find the parka hanging up. All telltale signs go to the professor who's teaching this urban legend class anyway. So yeah, they end up at the dean's office because Wexler surprises them and says, like, essentially, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Then Dean Adams, that is his name, digs up Natalie's personal file while they're all talking in his office, and we all find out actually, that she was on probation for reckless endangerment. And she shamefully kind of says, like, it was just for a year. And then he essentially tells Paul at the same time that he's off the paper, effective immediately.
His whole personality. He's
His whole
fucked.
personality. And
That's all
guess
he's
what?
got.
Where's he going to go from here? Investigative reporter. So Paul and Natalie are in this now together. They have a whole discussion outside about everything they've learned. She doesn't want to talk about her past with him. He doesn't have a body of work to get another job, yada yada yada. But
Yeah.
he's gonna leave her be. So then we cut to Brenda taking a swim at school when it seems like the killer shows up in the black parka, just to let me come through, let me find out. This is another unbelievable thing because
But like,
Natalie
why?
is
But why is this person in a park? It's so
apparently it's
strange.
supposed to be shot in winter
But
or
nobody was in. I thought that, but I was like, nobody's in winter clothes outside. So what are we
yeah.
doing here? They're in
I
like,
think that they were originally gonna shoot it in winter and then
mm,
it was a part of the killer's whole look and
yeah,
so they scrapped that and it was like fall, spring or
yeah,
one of the in-betweens.
a teeny bit of a, well, mistake there. This
It
doesn't
was
make
a
any damn
mistake
sense.
that this person came in to watch their friend swimming in a parka. It doesn't, well, you know what? It added a little bit of suspense. Natalie
Mm.
can't get out of the room she just got into. She's checking doors. She's like, well, how the fuck did you get in here anyway? And then she throws a chair at the window. She's screaming because obviously she cares about her friend. And surprise, it's just one of her girlfriends. Also, who
Mm,
is this friend? Not that it matters, but
yeah,
she sits with Brenda after and tells her whole lore
yeah.
essentially that she went to school with Michelle Mancini, and they give us a little flashback. Natalie goes on to tell us that her and Michelle were out one night in high school and decided to play this old headlights urban legend that involves turning your headlights off and then the first car that flashes their lights to tell you, you chase and flash yours at them. And then you start driving. They started driving faster and eventually the guy lost control of his car and winded up dying. And the police were lenient with Natalie and Michelle and they gave them probation.
Which seems like unlikely. That's manslaughter. And so, like, not in a direct way, but bigger than, like,
I
I
mean, I
think it's
guess
bigger than that.
you can make you can make a case for anything, but ultimately the person is dead. So like, they got that shit hanging over their head. And Brenda at the same time kind of consoles her, but then urges her very quite quickly to like relax and have fun tonight. Like the party is happening and
Yeah.
she's trying to get a piece of ass from Paul. So Paul is then seen like cleaning off his work desk when he finds a newspaper article of William Wexler as the sole survivor of the massacre at Stanley Hall, 1973. And so Paul knows he needs to like uncover more. Then we get to Dean Adams goes to his car to leave the office for the day. Can we just say, is this what an old car alarm sounded like?
I'm so happy.
It sounded like a laser beam. What the fuck is that?
And I was like,
I feel like it was like anytime they shot to a car, I just heard.
yeah. So specific and not what you would think. It's very unexpected.
Didn't seem accurate at all. Anyway, he does a little moment where he looks in the back seat because he's ho ho urban
Yeah.
legend,
Yeah.
nothing there.
Yeah.
Then good old Reese taps him on the back of the shoulder, says like a little jumpy. She thinks that essentially there should be more guards out on the property
Or just more than
because
one. We could have just more than her. That would be incredible.
can we get any bodies out here?
Any other body would be cool,
Yeah.
but okay.
The dean is like, it's the weekend. We don't want to create any scene here. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Damon, you know what he says? After everything that's happened, she's having trouble locating Damon, who's been missing for days. And he said, missing? It's the weekend. He's probably shacked up with some
In a
girl
motel.
in a motel or a guy. Who's to say? I
Honestly.
felt like maybe this was never hinted at before.
it's funny. What I was focused more on was the motel aspect. That's a very specific image he painted, and I thought it was really inaccurate and probably wrong and kind of weird. But
Slightly
I remembered it.
weird. He's old fashioned, maybe, but he says, "Weren't
That's what he
you ever
fancies.
18?" And she's like, "Not that kind of 18." No.
It's very specific.
She
Yeah.
had her nose in the books. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
he advises she not contact any parents or authorities unless he says that it's okay. It's his word. And she's like, doesn't agree with it. She mumbles, under her breath like an asshole. Reese goes away. And then we quickly hear another noise off in the distance. A little rumble. He turns around, and all of a sudden, hand comes out from underneath the car and cuts his ankle from the
That
back.
one hurt. I felt that.
Deep
Yeah.
cut.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw it, I was like, I don't know if it'd be that bad, but he was bleeding a lot. So must have cut
She must have
something.
had like an artery or something. Yeah.
Is what it is. But so that happens. He obviously falls down and starts to crawl away with his bloodied ankle. And the killer comes out and puts the car into neutral, which starts to move towards the crawling Dean. And we have a he starts to,
Yeah.
and he's on his merry way. The car is in neutral. He suddenly pops up at the right moment. All of a sudden, the car's right there, and you know what? Runs him over. The spikes that the
This
car.
was a really brutal kill.
You know what we'll say? Severe tire damage. That's
Big
what
time.
we're left on.
Big time. Yeah.
Red. Well, we're at a pretty sick dorm house situation with people drinking and smoking and giving their dogs beer funnels. Natalie joins the party and she's wet blanket. Brenda goes to get her a beer, and Paul shows her the newspaper article he found. He tells her that it's not a legend and that the faculty covered up the situation in 1973, which is wild. So he tells her that he's sorry he doubted Natalie before, which he tells her nothing's going to happen to her specifically and plants a dry one on her.
Yeah, it didn't seem very sexual. I'll say that.
I'll also say that Brenda comes storming in with the two beers she got for them, and what do you know? She sees her bestie smooching the one that she has a crush on. You don't waste any time, do you? Here, it's light.
She should have thrown it on her.
Honestly?
The situation called for it. She was a shit. She was
For
such a
sure.
shit.
Paul doesn't understand what he did wrong.
Never
And
do.
she said, no, this is my fault, whatever. Then we get a little Zoot Suit Riot playing. You know what I'm saying? In the background while Brenda cries on the porch in the rain. Zoot Suit Riot, riot, throw back a bottle of beer. The soundtrack is vibing.
It is really good.
Then we see Reese investigating the grounds. She sees that Wexler's office is destroyed. Papers everywhere. She goes in to see what's up and ends up slipping on a pool of blood.
Big pool of blood. Huge. Huge. Outrageous pool of blood. Yeah.
So our girl slips, and then we go right back to the party. And Paul ends up telling Parker that Natalie was right about the massacre and that he should end the party early. So then Parker, in true Parker fashion, presents it to the guests that because there's a killer on campus offing people in the form of urban legends, he's essentially mocking Paul and says, like, have you heard about the one where the writer realizes he's going to graduate in a few weeks and knows he's going to be writing for Martha Stewart's magazine or something? Meanwhile, I'm
Which
like,
would be such an honor.
it would
How
be
fucking dare you?
a delight to write for the Stewart's magazine. So he essentially concocts the storyline that Paul is the killer and that
Yeah.
he's doing, like, so you start killing people in a trendy cover story kind of way. And he's turned a little bit, we saw the funnels that were happening. We all
Yeah.
saw the funnels that were going on at this party.
Yeah.
And then Paul tells Natalie to stay here while he goes to get help. All right. Take people out of the mix. And
Mm-hmm.
Sasha goes up to him and just like, why do you got to be such a jerk? You know what? I'm just going to go to the radio station. And you know what? We stand Tara Reid for this. Her character is saying, like, I'm with some douche, and you know what? I'm getting out of here. All of a sudden, Parker gets a call while he's in the kitchen. You might need to do earmuffs.
I was gonna say I almost want to like take off my headphones and let you talk about this scene, and then I'll come back and you just give
Okay.
me a just give me a
Yeah.
yeah.
We could definitely do that. Okay. All right, so all of a sudden Parker gets a call while he's in the kitchen from the house phone, and this person says, "You're gonna die tonight." And he's like, "Oh, really?" He checks the caller ID, and it's from, guess who? Damon Brooks. And we're saying, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, so this is the one about the killer calling from inside of the house. The one about the babysitter, right?" The killer then says, "Wrong urban legend. This is the one about the old lady who dries her wet dog in the microwave." Whoa. He understands what's happening. He stumbles down the stairs and opens the microwave to find an exploded mess. His fucking precious baby was cooked, to say the least. Pretty good shot from inside the microwave, I must say. Sorry, Corinne. She doesn't want to hear anything about it. He goes in and says, "Sick motherfucker." I'm going to bring Corinne back in. She has her precious baby angel dog with her, who I can never imagine being microwaved, but it was an interesting scene. He goes into the bathroom to presumably throw up, and the killer shows up, dunks his head into the toilet, knocking him out for a bit. There's a little like cigarette in the toilet. It's kind of fun. And they tie him up around the toilet and, you know what? Funnel in some pop rocks and Drano into his mouth, choking him to death. Parker's
No
out.
tears. No tears.
No tears left to cry, some would say. Sasha made it to the radio station. Our girl got into the rain, out of the rain. She's there. And she's giving advice to her callers now about sexual positions and getting stuck.
Yeah. This kind of bothered me a little bit. I feel like these people should be at the hospital. If something is somehow like hooked or stuck or whatever, like you wouldn't be. Oh my god, let's call Tara Reid at the radio station. No, no, no. But whatever. Okay.
It doesn't make too much sense, but you know what? We're 18 after all.
Mm-hmm.
While she's talking to the caller, we see her assistant basically getting killed in the background. It was kind of fun. It's a little lights out moment. And then everything cuts out. So she's like, caller, hello, are you there? And she can't find her assistant. She's looking through the glass of the booth. Then the killer reveals himself, and they got the axe and they break the window of the booth. And simultaneously, Natalie is at the party and she can hear Sasha screaming for her life over the speaker of the party because it's being broadcast to the area. Anyway, the chase between Sasha and the killer begins.
And the scene is endless.
I'm going to say this. The scene is endless, but it is building the suspense. And Tara Reid is giving her what she signed up for. So she really is going through the halls of the radio station. We almost get an axe swung at our face. She almost gets her head cut into two. We love to see it. She's sobbing the entire time. She's whimpering.
Yeah. Now they believe Natalie, huh?
Yeah, I bet. So she tries going down the stairs, which is like a wrap around multiple floors. And the killer meets her in the middle and throws her over the edge, drops down to another level, but she's hurt obviously because she had that
Little
fall.
drop,
Her
yeah.
legs, they almost cut her finger, the whole nine. Watch the movie. And she's walking around, she's moving a little slower because of that fall,
Yeah.
but she is able to get into the elevator and takes it up to the third floor. Natalie is still sprinting in the rain.
Yeah.
Reese hears Sasha over the radio as she's in the car screaming out bloody murder because everything's being broadcast still. Sasha runs into the room and shuts the door, but she goes up to the window and she sees Natalie, who has finally made it there, soaking wet, and she's trying to get her attention on the glass. This is a decent scene. So she's crying out for Natalie because she knows that somebody's there and that it's a potential to save her. The killer just walks in the door and also sees Natalie and does a little
Mm-hmm. Hi.
hand wave, and slaughters Sasha off camera.
Which first time watcher.
Yep.
My thought was like, okay, is Tara Reid actually the killer or something? Because we don't actually see her get slaughtered, and it's very poignant that we don't. We've seen everybody else be killed. Like, why is this like off camera? What's the point of this? Are they in cahoots? Is there's like some type of connection where they want Natalie to see that and think that she is? Like, I thought this meant something. And maybe it still does, for people that haven't watched it yet, but yeah, you should watch it before listening to this episode.
You know what I like is that your mind is in the right place, because
Mm.
when you're watching something like this and you're trying to figure out who the killer is and you're texting me on the side saying, like, I already know this is the person right off the bat, I get excited because I'm like, in for a
Yeah.
treat. You
Yeah.
never know.
Very different.
Maybe.
Very different. Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun
Yeah,
to say. I mean, that's
it
the reason
is.
why we do this shit. Anyway, so Natalie sees her friend get murdered, and then runs right back out, just like Sasha should have done. She runs over to another building looking for Paul, who meets her in a hallway of the building across the way. And she all of a sudden starts to question kind of his whereabouts. And he's saying, like, I can't find the dean. There's no Reese. The phone is dead. We got to get off campus. She's finally, like, we're starting to get a little bit of acting of questioning like what is
Yeah.
real and what is not, because this bitch has seen some shit.
Yeah.
They get out back into the rain because they realize they got to get off campus, and they run into Brenda. She's like, I heard Sasha on the radio. And the craziest acting choice for Natalie right here is just, she's dead. I think it was the funniest phrase of the whole movie. Is she said it so matter of fact, just like, she's dead. Like,
No,
we're ready.
that's done.
To go. That's done. And then, to your point, what we saw from Sasha before, Reese gets to the station and finds Sasha's bloodied hand just.
Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, okay, I guess she's not
Yeah, she's not coming back.
No. Okay.
All right, so we all get into Paul's car, but something smells a bit off in the car. And they're going along. I don't know where they're going. They're just getting out of Dodge. They're getting off the campus. But Brenda suggests, like, pulling over to the gas station and see if their phones work, because the storm has taken out the campus. Paul goes inside. Brenda then tells Natalie, like, she's sorry for freaking out about the two of them kissing, and she knows that, like, they both like each other.
And
What do you have to say about this?
As soon as that happened, as soon as she did that, I said, she's the killer. As soon as that happened, I was like, there is no fucking woman I know that would so quickly, first of all, apologize when she shouldn't have been the one apologizing at all. That's what the fuck. Your friend betrayed you right in front of your eyes. It was the most unlikely thing I've ever seen. It was like, no, I know it. No, not a single woman I know would react that way and do that without some type of ulterior motives of like revenge. There's no fucking way. And I was like, oh. And then everything that happens after this completely gives into that theory. But that was the moment I was like, it's her.
Now, can we also say like people are getting murdered, and like
Yeah. You think
the
it's like,
wrench,
oh, there's bigger than this. And like,
like the
we're in
wrench
a,
into all of that is like I'm fearing for my life, and you are the closest like confidant in the circle right now, and so like, can we get out of here? And
women are
so
too petty.
even
But
in
like, if that
death,
was the case,
even in death,
even in that case, I think it would be like I'm still mad at you and I'm still fucking pissed at what you did, but we're in a dire situation, so we need to, we'll put that aside for now, but I still don't fucking like you. That's what
yeah.
I would do. And I don't know if everybody would do that, but I think it's really, really unbelievable that somebody would be so quick to be like, I'm so sorry about that. I know you guys like each other, even though I didn't know that. I only saw it just 2 seconds ago. There's been no evidence of it. It was too kind, so obvious. Yeah.
I feel like we are on Sasha's radio station. I feel like this is the call in, and I felt like we discussed it at length. It was very good.
Yeah,
I think that
for sure.
we've stated both cases. Even in death,
Yeah.
nobody would move that way.
Even in death, people are petty.
Thank God we got to discuss this exchange of words. But you know what? She tells Natalie sorry for freaking out about the two of them, and like they both like each other. She sees that they hug. That's crazy. Then a phone rings immediately. They find Professor Wexler dead in the trunk. That's what the smell is. Finally,
Yeah.
like somebody is acknowledging dead people as a smell.
I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised he smells that quickly. I don't know enough about it, but there's a later scene where Joshua Jackson pops up, and I'm like, oh my God, he must be stinky dinky. That's a whole.
For
You.
sure.
That's a whole different.
I'm just saying something ain't right with the smell. And you know what? At least they smelled something. Like they knew something
Yeah, they knew
wasn't
something was
right.
off. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they kind of find the body, and then they look over at Paul, who's, on the phone inside. The girls run into the woods together, and Paul chases after them because he's like, what the fuck is going on? Brenda and Natalie are running through the woods. Ticka, 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 ticka. Brenda drops off at some point. She trips. And Natalie, again, being not a girl's girl, is just like full force. Like, I'm
No going back.
staying the course. No, I'm not looking back for my
After
bestie.
all that, after that whole exchange, who's surprised? Yeah.
She just keeps running. She finally gets to the road and runs into, of course, the janitor who's driving down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's too coincidental.
Yes.
Everyone is suspicious after
Yes.
all. He offers her a coat inside the car, but it's the
This is a very popular coat. This was also in Professor Wexler's office. I'm like, is this the only coat sold in this town?
you know what? It's the
Perhaps.
only coat in the Northeast that was sold between 1998 and 1999.
For real though, because then the person in the swim, whatever, she was in the same coat. Like, why is this the only coat available for sale?
So she sees the coat in the back that is offered, and she's freaked out. And as an audience, again, we're with her. We're all freaked out. Then a car comes down the road with their lights off, and you can guess what happens next. The killer swerves because janitor flips the headlights on,
Yeah.
and now we're back in the same scenario that she was in high school. So the headlights are flashing, blah, 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 blah. The killer comes up next to them in the car, speeds up. We're going around a corner, and the killer kind of like knocks them the side of the road, and the car goes off the cliff because there's a cliff. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the janitor, I said it in my notes here, like the janitor appears to be dead
Dead. Very
or
dead.
out
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
One or the other. You never really know. We never see him again. So who's to say?
Yeah.
Natalie walks out unscathed.
Of
Just
course.
like, of course.
Survivor.
Natalie gets back to school. She's been running through the damn woods. Like, after the car accident, she finally gets back to school.
Oh, shit.
Then she hears someone calling for help in the old building from before that's been boarded up with the glory hole on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know it had a glory hole. Just a fucking little.
Mm-hmm.
There's a stench coming. No, she hears someone calling from that building, and there's a light on, and they're screaming, and it's been boarded up for a while. She goes in.
Well, it's so clearly Brenda
Did she finally
screaming.
say, "I'm a girl's girl" after all this?
You know, I don't know what I would do, but if I didn't care about this person enough to not hook up with somebody that she liked, I certainly wouldn't go in. And what I'd probably do is just, try to call Reese, click, and then if it didn't work out, I'd be like, But maybe she feels bad. Maybe she feels guilty because she left her in the woods, bitch. So
Bitch.
I don't know. Who knows?
Well, anyway, she goes into this rat-infested building that's been boarded up. She goes upstairs. A door shuts behind her. Ooh. She finds Parker dead in a barrel. Whatever. Dean Adams is in the bed. Corpse Dean Adams.
House of Corpses.
She's of course in her Halloween era, seeing everybody that's been deceased. Behind door number 1, you have this. Behind door number 2, it's this person dead on a bed. She sees Damon hanging out, literally. The stench we talked about.
Stinky.
And she just like bypasses Damon.
The way that she like shuffles past is so what's what I'm looking for? Casual. That's what I'm looking for. She's so fast.
Is it casual now?
She's just like, oh, okay. And she just shuffles past him. Oops. My way.
It is a moment.
Yeah.
But she's seeing everybody with, the X's over their eyes. And she goes past him into another room, and there's candles burning everywhere. It's a thoughtless plug. And Brenda is in the center, laying on a bed.
Dirty mattress with no sheets. Yuck.
Dirty, no pillows. No dirty pillows in sight. Dirty mattress instead. Harry reference.
Love it.
And all of a sudden she sits next to the bed and starts crying, and Brenda suddenly sits up and socks her in the face from behind.
Wow.
Yeah. Natalie comes to. She's tied to the bed, and Brenda comes in with the coat, and now we can see her face.
Yeah.
It's me, Brenda. She tells her, you better not scream, because she's had enough of that with Sasha when I killed her. Well, she asks why, because we're all trying to understand why.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, lucky for you, Miss Thang, I've got a visual aid. We find out that the guy that Natalie and Michelle killed the night driving was indeed Brenda's boyfriend. She says, ding, 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 ding. David and I were going to get married that summer after graduation. He didn't have enough money to buy me a ring, so he got me this instead. This little necklace she holds on. Taken off. She says, didn't you say you were having trouble forgiving yourself, Natalie? I think I can help you out in that department. Payback's a bitch. Natalie's like, you need to get help. And she's like, I have already tried therapy. Everyone, this is a message. Everyone should try therapy.
At least try. This wasn't like the first thing she went to,
No.
I will say, let me just say this. I was pretty bothered. I think the boyfriend thing, a little flimsy. I thought it was going to be her brother. I thought it was going to be blood. And when I found out it was the boyfriend, I liked it so much less. Because, like, what bro are you killing for? I'm sorry. He was a boyfriend. I don't care if you were going to get married and there was a wing at some point. It's just some dude.
A little desperate. Um, I'm not gonna respond
No,
actually to that.
no
Maybe
comment.
I'd kill.
She was desperate enough, you know.
She was desperate enough, and also it kind of plays into her character being like a little obsessive with boys and like,
With Paul, yeah,
mm,
I get it. I just wish they would have made it either a more serious relationship, like maybe they were married, or maybe they
mm,
were like
mm,
really about to get married the next week, or like there was
mm.
something to make it more serious. You
She's also
know?
playing it crazy enough to be like, did you think you were going to get married or were you actually, like there's a lot to
Yes.
question here, which is kind of exciting, but also that leads to like the acting of it all,
Yeah,
where you're just
for
like,
sure.
okay, we understand the story, and now like where are you going with said story? It kind of lets us play around, which I enjoy. So she was like, you killed my boyfriend using an urban legend. And Natalie was like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, oh, just my favorite UL. I'm obsessed. This is now called UL. Um, she says that her favorite UL is the kidney heist. And she was like, do you know this one, right? Guy gets picked up by a woman at a bar. She takes him back to her hotel room. She fixes him a drink and passes out. He wakes up in a bathtub filled with ice, and he realizes that one of his kidneys has been removed. Have you heard about this? Take a drink.
No. And
I've
this
heard
is
about
weird.
this.
What?
Yes.
What are you doing? Are you on like urban legend Reddits? I don't even fucking understand. It
Not back
doesn't
in
make any sense.
1998. I was 13 listening
And
to
you
my
have heard
friends tell me
this?
stories.
This is weird.
Hold
Feels
on, wait, I
weird.
have
I
to
don't know it.
all right. So she goes through that whole story. And then Natalie is like, you won't get away with this. And Brenda's like, of course I will. I've got the perfect murder in the trunk of Paul's car. Wexler. Professor does away with his students and then kills himself in the same manner of the course he teaches. It's beautiful. And then she says, well, enough chat, Nat. Love. She's
Yeah.
eating. She's
Yeah.
devouring right
Yeah.
now.
This is
And then
great.
she proceeds to take like the scalpel and like go at her stomach. And she's like, I don't know where it is. Like, is that the kidney or is that the appendix? And it's like just enough nutty, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Reese comes in the room and she's got the gun. She says, drop the weapon. And then, of course, Brenda's like, oh, great. Rent-a-cop here to the rescue. And Reese is like, put your hands up, arms against the wall. Don't you move. And she's trying to tell Natalie, don't you worry, baby. I'm going to get you out of
I
this.
love that. It's so cute. Yeah. It's
Like,
really sweet.
they're both really playing here. And Brenda turns around. The camera is on her, gets a knife out, and turns around and back at Reese and cuts her in the chest. They both scramble for the gun that she drops, and Brenda grabs it and shoots Reese, like point blank. Out for now. She points then the gun at Natalie, and at this point, Natalie has gotten herself out of the bed, out of the clutches, and she's standing there. But Brenda is like, shit, like bullet through the head, like not an urban legend, but in the essence of time, like I got to do something. And all of a sudden, Paul comes clapping from behind.
Good timing, bro.
Good
Good
timing.
timing.
Adds a little bit of interest here. And also speaks to what you were thinking about early on. All
Mm-hmm.
comes around clapping. Very well done. I couldn't have planned it better myself. I mean, I thought I was screwed after, and he's playing into
Right.
Brenda's
Yeah.
mindset. And then he says, so why don't you give me the gun? And this is not the vibe, because we all know that that's not happening. And she understands his bullshit. And
Yeah.
she's like, you're cute, Paul, but not that fucking cute.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, she's really giving an arc to her character now.
Yes.
And she's
Not
saying
that stupid.
fuck men altogether.
Yes. Yeah.
So now which one of you do I kill first? Eeny, meeny, miny, and then she gets shot in the arm by Reese, who's on the ground, and she says, Mo. Natalie grabs the gun, and Brenda's like, what are you gonna shoot me, Natalie? And she kind of like runs at her, and then gets shot through the window in her
Yeah.
parka. She's
Of
just
course.
right out, right out the window. Paul and Natalie embrace. Reese wakes up. She said, I thought I'd have to wait to be a cop before a bullet ever hit me.
So she is just a security
She's
guard.
just a security guard.
Nothing against Reese, but whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
She took a bullet for the first time and she wasn't even a police officer.
That's insane. Yeah.
Then we get to a scene. They're driving away because done with Brenda. She's been shot out the window. They drive away. Here's the crazy part. They say Reese will, he looks to her and says, Reese will be fine. Like, don't worry about it. Paramedics are on the way.
Why didn't they stay? I was so very bothered by that. Why wouldn't you stay? Like, she saved your life.
All of a sudden, shit got real.
Yeah.
And you were just like, she'll be fine.
This
They'll
is
all be fine.
insane. That was insane. Weird decision on the
Someone
part of
just
the
saved your
producers
life
there.
and you're just like, I called the paramedics. I know.
She'll
When
be fine.
clearly-
Let's go get a sandwich. It's been a long night.
Honestly, that's the way that it felt. Let's bring out the lunch meat from the back. Let's get our picnic set up.
It was really weird. It was really weird.
And guess what? It gets even weirder.
Yeah.
She looks at him and she says, this will be a legend too, you know? It'll change a little from person to person, of course. Then Paul says, so if this is an urban legend, at what point do we get the twist? All of a sudden, Brenda pops back up in the back seat with the axe. And the struggle is real in the car. Paul gets hit with the fucking blunt end of the axe. She's trying to strangle Natalie over the seat. They keep driving and they're going over. Eventually they get to a small bridge, but there's a lot of like hair pulling and like trying to help the cause. Why don't you just stop the car? Why don't they just like, it's raining. Anyway, they get to a small bridge. He stops short, obviously, and hits a piece of the guardrail or something, and Brenda goes right through the window, through the windshield, into the water, and she's just floating there in her parka. And she floats off screen, and then they embrace in the rain. They figured we got it all together. Sirens in the distance, you know.
Yeah,
it's a straight setup. Cut right to, guess what? A new group of kids talking about their story. One of them saying, but they never found the body. So we know that this new flock is saying like, wait, do you know about this story though? Like, this happened here. They never recovered the body. And then we get glimpses of each of the characters in this new group saying like, man, that's a stupid story you hear at every campus on the Northeast. And you know what? Natalie, she's my old roommate's cousin. And Brenda, that's a girl in that Noxzema commercial, which Rebecca Gayheart was in a Noxzema commercial. And you remember her from that. I remembered it as it was said back then, which is fun. And we cut to the main guy who's just like, look, does anyone believe me here? And then we hear a voice, which shot from behind saying, I believe you. The camera pans around to Brenda at the end of it saying, but you didn't get it right. Not at all. Now listen up, guys, because this is how the story really goes. Dun, dun, dun.
It never ends.
Oh, and also, let me just say now that there is a follow-up to Urban Legend.
I saw that final cut, which is a very interesting name for a sequel.
I've never watched it. I'm down to watch it in the next couple days because I did hear that Rebecca Gayheart and Reese is in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. I've heard that it's actually just as good, maybe a little bit less than the original, but I don't think the original is everything.
I do have some just like last minute things to throw out.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Melissa Joan Hart all turned down the leading role, which fair. right?
If they had done it though, I think it would have been a bigger movie. I think honestly, the fact
Like
that
if
she was a
Reese
nobody did a disservice to the movie.
if
I think
Reese
that's why I
was a
never.
ginger in this movie playing the lead, that would have been sexy. The character, this is important. The character Reese, the security guard, Loretta Devine, was written as gay, but this was
Hmm.
either changed or just not shown in the film.
But she was going to remain the same character, but she was just going to have a gay arc.
Or maybe like because her idol was like
Pam
Pam, that
Greer.
like she had some connection with like
Interesting. Okay.
that. Could have
Yeah.
been interesting. Tara Reid and Joshua Jackson were also working on Cruel Intentions during this time.
I was going to say, because Tara Reid was also in Cruel Intentions. A really small bit part, but it
1999.
was in there. Yeah.
This is a fun one. Pendleton's school motto is shown only in Latin. When translated, it means the best friend did it.
The
I don't know if
best
any of
friend
these are
did
real.
it.
You
That's
know, like
interesting. Oh, that's crazy. All right. Ratings. Here at Stoli Doli Scaries, we like to rate our movies based on how many Stoli Dolis it would take you to enjoy the film. 1 through 5. For me, I give this movie a 2.5. Never done a halfer, but I'm gonna do a half. I don't think it's a full 3. It was good. It was unexpected. Like I said, it's very Scream like, whereas I was like, I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know who was going to be what. And like, I was constantly guessing. The mystery aspect was really fun. Dialogue was fun. Great cast. All the things were there, but it didn't wow me. Like I said, if I'd watched this in my, I know what you did last summer, Scream, 90s cult, whatever, if I'd watched this then, I would think I would have had a better like, attachment to it. But since I watched it so old, I was like, yeah, this is good. Not great. Good twist. Still need to have a few drinkies to appreciate, but I liked it overall.
and you know what? That's totally fair.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. My rating, I went back and forth,
Sure.
because stellar movie growing up and then rewatch a little bit less of a
Sure.
of a good movie. And also in
Always.
comparison, you got to rate the comparisons next to it. But honestly, even talking about it now, I still feel like it's a 1 for me. It's
Wow.
a 1
Okay.
Stoli Doli. And
Okay.
here's what I will say. The cast is undeniable. The soundtrack is giving me 90s pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Um the scenes are a little clunky. I'll tell you what, the acting is probably the worst thing about this, which
Certain people, yes.
certain
Well,
people,
honestly, everybody. To be frank, besides Tara Reid. Yeah.
and honestly Rebecca Gayheart kind of served at that last moment.
Yeah.
I loved the cop. I loved the fact that we were getting like callbacks from my childhood with the urban legends, and like the whodunit of it all was exciting to think about in some scenarios. It fell flat sometimes. The kills I needed more from, but I really feel like one Stoli Doli would have put me in the realm of possibility of
Yeah.
like accepting it for what it is, which ultimately I did when I
Yeah.
rewatched.
Yeah.
And it's precious and I love it and it's wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us on our very delayed return
We're
to the
back.
podcasting world. We're back for now. Let's hope nothing catastrophic happens that will depress us. But for now, we're here. We love talking to you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time,
Turn around.
every now and then, you know what? I don't know the rest of the lyrics.
Until then, turn around.